You're now tuning into
The Cover Gang.
What is going on, Cover Gang? It is divisional playoff time. Me and Justin, we're about to go over our AFC and NFC picks. Only 8 teams left, 4 winners. Justin's going to read off each spread. We're going to see if we agree. It's juicy 4 games. I think my biggest takeaway from AFC compared to NFC is the quarterback play on the AFC side compared to the NFC side. I'm a lot more interested to watch the games on the AFC side. I think all 4 games will be good, but to have CJ Stroud, Lamar, Josh Allen, and Mahomes on the AFC side compared to Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, Baker, Jared Goff, it's just 2 totally different conferences, it feels like. So a year with Joe Burrow going down the AFC, still the top tier quarterbacks making it to the Final Four on that side's pretty cool. But yeah, last week we did not do too hot, 2-4. Justin, probably, I think I talked him into the Browns pick a little bit. That was obviously a mistake on my behalf. Should have seen the splits. Browns defense was horrible on the road all year, and CJ looked great, especially with Joe Flacco handing the Texans 2 touchdowns, throwing 2 back-to-back pick sixes. And the Eagles-Bucks game, we were kind of torn between. We were like, we just believed in Jalen Hurts, but in the first quarter of that game, I think we could tell that Eagles were toast. They looked like they came out just completely dead. And if Mike Evans and the tight end Otten or whatever, if they could have caught the ball in the first quarter, they probably would have been up like 21-3 or whatever it was in the first quarter. So a couple bad beats, whatever. We're looking to bounce back. This is definitely a 4-0 week, right, Justin?
Oh, yeah. The way this season has ended, no doubt. I'm confident. 4-0.
100%. So if you want, we can talk. You know me, I always love talking about head coaches. There's a whirlwind of old classic coaches that have been recently fired or let go mutually by the team. Jim Harbaugh, there's still talks. Michigan did make an offer on Jim Harbaugh. He rebutted or whatever their offer, and his conditions are that if the NCAA comes down hard on these allegations or whatever, as far as the signal stealing and all that stuff, that it's not usually the athletic director, the AD, fires the coach. He's wanting it to go to a 3-person board panel to decide whether or not he's fired. But apparently Michigan's already offered him a 6-year. He would be the highest paid coach in the college football, but he rebutted that with those conditions. So maybe he's not going to the NFL. He has interviewed with the Chargers and the Patriots. I think he interviewed with Atlanta as well. So he has interviewed with some NFL teams, but that's just the latest news I've heard on Jim Harbaugh. So I would love for him to come to the NFL. I think that would shake up a lot of stuff. But Bill Belichick, you got an idea of where you think he's going to end up?
Well, I mean, you said it, Philly, and then I've heard a bunch of commentators during the games last weekend say Cowboys. I'm sure we could see that. I mean, kind of makes sense, I guess. I haven't heard anything about McCarthy or Sirianni yet, but I mean, do you think when we're gonna hear they're gonna get chopped?
So me and Justin both, well, me more than Justin, worked 40 hours during the work week. So it's kind of hard to stay up to date on every little bit of news. So I may not be totally confident in what I'm saying here, but last year they initiated a rule because it's what sucks for these teams is the Eagles, for example, last year they had a great offensive coordinator and a great defensive coordinator, and then there was, just like every year, there's somewhere between 6 to 10 open vacancies for head coaches at the end of the season, and a lot of these coordinators were taking interviews while preparing to play the next week against, because they're still in the playoffs. So they instated last year that you cannot interview any potential head coach candidates until after the divisional round. So that's why it hasn't came out that Atlanta and Belichick has signed, or Atlanta and Harbaugh has signed, or Washington Chargers, any of these teams that has signed a coach, because they still could be interviewing maybe the OC for the Texans, or you know what I mean, in any of these 8 teams remaining. So, and I kind of think that they should just wait to the end of the Super Bowl. I mean, I think that you should, if you're an offensive coordinator and you're going to the Super Bowl, your main focus should be, how can I beat the defense of the other team in the Super Bowl?
Right.
But they've extended it out. It wasn't like they're like that until this year, to where you cannot interview any of the potential, if their team is still live in the playoffs, you can't interview them until after this weekend. So that's why you haven't heard any hiring news as of yet.
Well, that's good. That's definitely a good change, because it makes sense. Keeps it professional, keeps it focused on the task instead of worrying about a big life-changing decision, in the middle of trying to be competitive. So that's definitely the way to go. But yeah, I think Philly or Cowboys, I mean, I see Belichick going to a destination like that, like a team that has a big name brand, someone that has a blue blood organization, a cornerstone of the league kind of team like that. And I mean, Cowboys and Eagles are definitely up there for that. I think, can I see him going all the way to Texas? I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, he has a lot of ties in the Nantucket area. So, he would want to probably be within a reasonable private jet flight to all of his estates in Nantucket. So I would think he would want to stay in the Northeast. So that brings up Philadelphia, which still currently has a head coach in Sirianni. They're supposed to meet today with what's his name? Jim Lurie is the owner of the Eagles, or the GM. Anyways, and but I don't think he'll go Washington, because I mean, I just don't think he'll take the Washington or the Atlanta job, because that's complete rebuilds, and I don't think Belichick sees himself coaching for 10 more years. So
Right.
I do think he would go somewhere that already has, to a Chargers or like you said, a Dallas or a Philadelphia. But
Chargers
the Dallas
would
job
be
kind of
shocking to me. It just doesn't really seem like his. Like, I just don't see him being at the LA Chargers. There's not really a great brand. I mean, maybe he would rebuild that, or but he's not the guy to like do what they need. I feel like.
I could see I want you to stand on 2 guesses, like your top guess and your second guess. I can give you mine first for Belichick.
Was it the
So
Eagles?
Yes, unless somehow his agent reaches out to Cincinnati and says, "Hey, if you fire Zach Taylor, like we'll bring Belichick in and we'll get that defense right, and me and Joe Burrow will win rings together." Yeah, that's just a wild hypothesis, but they currently have a coach, and there's been no rumors out of Cincinnati that Zach Taylor's going to be fired or anything like that. I would say Philadelphia would be the number one destination I could see. And number 2,
Not the Titans.
no.
The Jaguars.
Yeah.
I was literally saying in my head the Jaguars. I don't know why. I was like,
I just think that because they would give him complete power. For some reason, Trevor Lawrence didn't take a step forward this year, which it's not like Belichick. He's going to bring probably Josh McDaniels in wherever he goes.
it's
so
warm.
He'll be the
He's
OC.
getting old. Maybe he needs that warm weather too. I mean,
Yeah, but just, I for some reason, Peterson and Lawrence took some steps back this year. So I could see that's kind of my dark horse on where he'll end up that nobody's really talking about right now is Jacksonville.
that's what I was thinking in my head. I was sitting there like thinking of quarterbacks. You said Joe Burrow, and I thought that was a great fit. And then I was like, who else? And then I was like, Jaguars in my head. And then, yeah.
But it's hard to fire Zach Taylor. I mean, if Belichick, that's what I'm saying. If Belichick says, "Hey, we want the job," and it goes to ownership. Zach Taylor, I don't know how much he's shown to be a great coach. He's made it to a Super Bowl, but is it more just Joe Burrow being great, or is it his coaching? I don't know.
Yeah.
but yeah, to see Lawrence got hurt during the year, so you can blame a lot of the losses on that. But to see him and Peterson take steps back instead of forward, and obviously Jacksonville will give Belichick whatever he wants, whatever say he wants as far as personnel,
Right.
anything to get him in there. I believe so.
I like the
That would probably
Jacksonville
be my
pick.
wild horse.
He probably realizes the criticism too and wants more of an offensive team. And I mean, that team's kind of set up for that. He can fix the defense a little bit, and then he's already got a pretty good offensive weapons, a young quarterback that has potential. So yeah, I like Jaguars. I like that pick.
Yeah, but then Vrabel, I want to kind of tail off on some of this. It's me and you spoke about this earlier. It's the Vrabel, Belichick, Pete Carroll, these defensive-minded coaches. They're just kind of dwindling out of the NFL. It's a offensive coaches league, and Mike Tomlin even if going into the last week's playoff games, like what was the one team we said had no chance of winning multiple games, make it to Super Bowl?
Steelers.
It was Steelers. They had no chance.
Yeah.
And it's because they don't have an offensive coordinator. They don't have the quarterback right. And Mike Tomlin, yeah, he's a great coach, but it's just if he was to get a quarterback and he was to get a good offensive coordinator, they stay for like a year or two, and then they go on and they get a head coaching job. Then you're looking for another one. It's just like the Colts, their defense isn't that good. You know, Shane Steichen needs to look for a better defensive coordinator maybe, but it seems just by a coaching change, they with a backup quarterback, the offense looks good week in and week out.
Right.
And you just can't say that about teams like Pittsburgh. So it's just throughout the years, all these changes that's benefited the offense. Yeah, it just these defensive minded coaches have had just less and less and less impact on making a deep dive into the playoffs. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, the rules are changing to favor quarterbacks and the offensive players. That's what's exciting. That's what the fans like more. So they complain when it's a Thursday night football game and it's like 10-7 or something at the final score. So it's just going to keep going that way, it seems. I mean, that's how NBA has went over the years. So I think it's just more to come in that direction, really.
Well, like I was telling you earlier as well, it's a money racket at the end of the day. And if I'm the Colts, Jim Irsay, he's actually going through some medical problems right now that leaked today. But if I'm the Colts owner, do I want a defensive coach that's losing games? Like, what sounds better? My team lost a game 41-38, or my team lost a game 16-13 with a defensive-minded coach. It's just the more points you get, the more recognition these players are getting because their stats are up. The more it's the crowd is more excited. The ticket sales go up. Merchandise sales go up because they're building stats on the year. For like a Pittman or Jonathan Taylor or whatever, if they're going off, even if they're losing games at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that plays a role in it as well. But yeah, it's weird. It's definitely a lot of. We'll see next week if Sirianni or McCarthy comes back. My prediction is that neither do. I think Sirianni stays unless Belichick takes the job, actually.
I think
But
McCarthy is way more chopped, probably, because with that Cowboys team, yeah, I don't know. And he's had, 3 years now?
Yeah, but 3 years with 12-plus wins in the regular season.
Right. And that's the craziest part. At that point, it's just time to move on. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I know. Dominate the regular season, lose in the post. Can't even make the championship round. But anyways, if I talked a lot right there. Do you have some takes on some coaches, some questions for me on?
Not really. I think you covered pretty much the main coaching moves. I was interested in what you think about, I guess, Pete Carroll, because he's not leaving the Seahawks organization, but like, what is he going to just have a lesser responsibility there? Like, what will he?
He's kind of going to do what Bruce Arians done with the Buccaneers. He's going to have like an advisory role, but Pete's old, and I think he got on after the Seahawks made saying that they were gonna move on from Pete Carroll as the head coach, and said that he would have a role or whatever. He got on there and like had a lot of spunk to him because he is an older coach and showed a lot of energy. So I mean, I could see a team like the Titans, if like nobody really wants that job, him going there, or maybe even the Panthers or something, and trying to do a rebuild, because Pete loves. I think he really truly loves coaching football, but I just think in a year where you have Belichick, Harbaugh, Vrabel, and then some of these offensive coordinators like the kid from the Texans, the OC for the Bengals. Jim Harbaugh, I mean, he should be number one on everybody's list if he decides to go to the NFL. It's just it's a year where there's a lot of good coaches out there. So I think Pete, he just got fired at the wrong time, or mutually let go, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Interesting nonetheless. A lot of legendary coaches on the move potentially. Some may not come back or may not take a job right away like Sean Payton did, you know. We don't really know what's going to happen, but
if Jim does come back, where does he go? Or Jim goes to the NFL, where's he go?
if he goes to the NFL, it's never the teams that the media is talking about at first. I know that. It's always one out of nowhere right at the end. I mean, he's someone that I think has such an impact on everything around the culture that I think he's the type that could go to the Chargers, I think. If we're talking about someone who could just revitalize that brand and get players and fans to be excited to, you know, show up and watch the Chargers, because they don't really have a strong organization. They don't have a strong team culture. They've moved recently and everything, but I just think somewhere like that, maybe he could rebuild the culture and like the brand a little more.
Yeah. I mean, when it was the same thing when Pete Carroll went from USC to coach in Seattle, he had a significant edge on personnel because he had been in college for the past few years, seeing all,
Oh yeah,
scouting, having a bunch of players come in that didn't even join the team, but he knows all the college players, or at least the 5-star recruits. So, I mean, I could see him, taking on a rebuild in Atlanta, or maybe even I don't think he would. I think he would do Atlanta over New Orleans, because I don't think that he wants to go in with Derek Carr. I think he wants to go in and then he can kind of pick maybe even a McCarthy in the middle of the round, or trade up to get somebody that like a Penix or a Bo Nix or something that he thinks is one of the better picks in the draft.
Wouldn't it be crazy if he went to the NFL and then drafted McCarthy?
He could, probably, with Atlanta's pick. I mean, they finished, I think they have like the 12th pick or something like that. So, I mean, McCarthy would fall to there.
If you were McCarthy at that point, you would feel like, I don't know, you would just, it got dark all of a sudden. You would feel like you just have ties. Like you gotta win for this dude. Like he just gave you another shot at the pros. Like,
yeah, no, I don't know. I really hope Jim, but I guess we'll be able to dive into that on the recap after these games. So we'll jump into the games. But talking coaches, I mean, I kind of,
it's a lot of speculation.
You know me, that excites me just as much as talking about these games. Honestly, here I'm gonna while you read off the first spread, I'm gonna make it light in here again.
All right, do your magic. First up, we got the Texans at the Ravens. This is one of the larger spreads of the week. The Houston Texans are laying 9.5 points, or they're getting 9.5 points. The Ravens are laying 9.5 at home. This is one of the public dogs of the week. They're getting 75% to 70% on some books that I've checked, and I get it because the Ravens, they didn't play last round. A lot of times, team can be a little bit rusty, but this Ravens team, they have looked like the most unstoppable team all year, so it is hard to play the number, but honestly, the quarterback play, I think that's the story of the divisional round. The quarterback play, I think all of these dogs this week, they're live dogs because these teams, I mean, CJ, yes, he's a rookie, but so far, I mean, he's on the road, and this is going to be his toughest challenge yet. We keep saying it, but what we're expecting to happen, it's not happening. Same with Jordan Love. The quarterback play is just up there that I think he can keep you in the game. So I'm going Texans plus 9.5 regular unit. Where are you at on this one?
Let's see. I'm looking up one. Should have been looking it up while you were talking right there, but I thought it was. Yeah, no, I'm on. I'm gonna take Baltimore minus 9. I'm gonna take them win by double digits.
Okay.
I think I've been fading the Texans, waiting for CJ to have some woes. Granted, I've missed on a lot of those plays, so I don't hate your pick by any means. And yeah, the rust or whatever, we can say the same thing about San Francisco. All them boys coming in, Brock Purdy and a lot of the studs on offense and defense didn't play in that last game against the Rams of the regular season, and they got the bye week. Same thing with Baltimore. Lamar didn't play. Odell, all the stars, whatever. But I really do think this is the year that Lamar is on a mission. I think he comes out, shows something against not the best defense in Houston, and I think that the Texans, I mean, they do have a great offensive coordinator, and it's no names catching the ball. But I think that at the end of the day, they're gonna rely on going to Nico and Schultz the most. You have two linebackers that can kind of cover Schultz or stay with him, affect him coming off the line, and with Queen and Roquan Smith, and then you got Marlon Humphrey to stay on Nico. I don't know. I really do think that this is the Ravens' year, and they come out. Lamar silences all the critics, saying that he can't perform in the postseason right here, and he does it in a good fashion. I'm thinking of something like a 34 to 17, 20 type game, and they cover the 9 points.
So you like the over too a little bit.
Yeah, I just could see Lamar kind of showboating this one and just putting whoever wins between Buffalo and Kansas City on notice that, yeah. When you look at the odds, to win the Super Bowl, San Francisco, which granted the AFC side I believe is harder, they're still the favorite to win the Super Bowl. But all year, I mean, we've seen it in that when the Ravens and Niners played, the Niners were favored by 6 points at home against Baltimore. It's like Baltimore's lost 3 games this year, other than the game that they lost to the Steelers at the end of the year that none of the starters played. When the starters were playing, they lost 3 games this year, and in all 3 games they were leading by double digits going into the fourth. I don't understand. They have as far as time that you are winning the football game, they are by far they have trailed the least amount of time all season long by far. And I just don't understand why Vegas hasn't caught up with them all year. I mean, this is a big number, 9 points, but I don't know. San Fran just seems like to be Vegas's darling more than Baltimore this year, and I'm against that. So that can kind of give you a preview on what side I'm going to be on them and the Packers. But yeah, I like Baltimore at a regular unit. I'm biting off 9 points. I don't like that, but yeah, Lamar goes out there and makes a statement. No rust.
Yeah, and he's due for making a statement. I think he's 0-2 at home in the playoffs, right? So this is like kind of a spot where you gotta smash to make a statement. And yeah, I kind of agree with your take on the odds. They're really hedging against the 49ers, but it must really be their route is just that much easier. And I mean, we kind of knew that with the NFC. Now the Cowboys and Eagles are out of the picture. It's like it's pretty clear that it's going to be hard.
And the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams too. It's hard to imagine the 49ers don't figure out how to get to the Super Bowl from here. But, yeah, they're not giving the Ravens the credit that they probably need because they are the number 1 DVOA team. You know, all the statistical rankings have their defense number 1 and their offense is like number 4. So, yeah, it's been a tough schedule for them. It's not like they've had a cakewalk, so I'm with you. I don't blame you for taking it at all, and they are due to show up at home in the playoffs. And
Houston Southern Dome team been bad on the road all year. Goes to cold Baltimore. Baltimore just reminds me so much of Philly last year. Great defensive front seven. They get out to early leads, and then they just lean on you in the second half and are able to run the ball, run the clock out. CJ's just going to be on the sideline watching this game for more than he would like. And, yeah, Baltimore covers the 9.
We're split.
I'm fading the public, too.
You are, because it's 75%. I can't believe 75% are taking the Texans, at least right now. By the weekend, it might get down to like 65 probably, but, yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, I'm more on the side that you just have to play these underdog teams this week. Like, I think these numbers are pretty huge, and I don't know. I mean, the quarterback play has been great from CJ and Jordan Love. They are going against their toughest challenge yet, so I'm going to play both. That's kind of what my idea is this week. But yeah, let's get right into that next one. We got the Packers visiting the 49ers. Biggest spread of the week opened at 10, and now it's down to 9.5. Early bettors liking the Packers. Of course they are. They just upset the Cowboys, America's team. So, yeah, and this one, I think you said it already. I kind of hinted at it too. I'm going with the Packers plus 9.5. Same reason. The quarterback play from Jordan Love, I mean, you could argue that he's number 2, number 1 since a few weeks ago, which is insane, given this, how he started his first season. But yeah, I think the only thing that scares me is this is a huge public side, and we're not really playing the bounce back, which would be the angle to take the 49ers here after the Packers, blow out the Cowboys. It's kind of, we're kind of feeding into what we just saw, and we don't usually do that. So, but it's just a huge number, and I'll be honest, like both of these teams, they're plus 300 like money line dogs, and I don't know. I could see a world where one of them upsets. It's playoff football. Anyone can win. Anyone can show up, and a team can have a bad day. Do I think the Ravens or 49ers lose? Probably not, but it's definitely in the realm when you have quarterbacks playing as good as they are on the other side of the ball. So yeah, I like the Packers plus 9.5 at a regular unit.
Yeah, I don't really. So this opened up at 10. I called you to see if I could guess the line. I did, and then it was sitting at 10. So I've already bet this game. I'm taking Packers plus 10. Jordan Love over the past 7 weeks, he's completing 71% of his passes. Has a 116 passer rating. I think he's thrown 1 pick and like 20 touchdowns over the past 7 weeks. He's on fire. San Francisco, yeah, they're great. Defense is great. Offense is great, but I would have played Brock Purdy in that last game. He wasn't banged up, coming off of a bad performance against Baltimore, and then I think they beat one bad team after Baltimore. So I would have played Purdy because I could see him getting rusty, and if the Packers can slow down McCaffrey in the running game, I could see Purdy being a little off early. And yeah, Jordan Love and the Packers, they're just playing with house money. I mean, CJ, I guess you could say CJ and Houston are too, but I think Lamar has something to prove. I feel like people expect more for the 49ers just to roll the Packers than they do the Ravens to roll the Texans. So, but I'm putting 1.5 on Packers plus 10. I could see them winning outright. I could see Jordan Love and company, these young receivers that just, I mean, it's good to know what you don't know. All these, I think they said on the offensive side of the ball, all the weapons other than Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, but he's a backup running back. Receivers 1 through 4 and their 2 tight ends are all in their first or second year playing, so they're just out there balling,
They're
just
fresh.
Like Jordan Love. Yeah, he's just like slinging it to them. They're making plays like they don't feel much pressure. It's all the pressure's on San Francisco, and can Brock Purdy deliver after 2 weeks? So
it's got to be
coming down.
Intimidating for Brock too to have a young guy like Jordan Love coming in and playing as good as he has. It's got to be like, I don't think I can play I don't think he even believes that he can play quarterback as good as Jordan Love is right now. I think he knows what he has to do, and that makes you nervous, is that you got to just distribute the ball and play safe within your game and do not blow this game instead of, stomping them. He's not going to be the reason that they stomp the Packers. It would be the surrounding pieces, but Jordan Love would really be the reason that Packers could win.
And since that key statistic, since Shanahan has been a 49ers coach, he's enters the fourth quarter losing by 5 or more points. He is like 1 and 31 or 32. And if he's losing by 8 or more, he's 0 and 37 or 38.
That's
so
insane.
he's never had a quarterback that just clutches up, we're down, comes back, ties it up, goes into overtime, wins the game,
Brock's
whatever.
really not that kind of guy, too. He's going to turn into a pumpkin if he's down, and he's going to get frightened, really.
If Packers can get him a little bit off rhythm, and Aaron Jones, he's running the ball just as good as McCaffrey right now, in my opinion. I mean,
They're
he's catching the
peaking
ball out of
at the
backfield,
right time. Yeah, that's the thing about this game. This number is huge, and you got to remember 49ers, they looked vulnerable coming into the playoffs, and Packers are peaking right now. So it's the right time. It's kind of like the Bengals, in 2021. It's just the right time to buy a young quarterback that's got some fire in him right now.
But it's still such a high spread and public coming in on it, so I'm not double unit, just unit and a half.
Yeah. Regular unit for me because Packers historically struggle with this franchise, and it is a physical team, and going on the road in the second round of the playoffs in the divisional round, that's a big, tall ask by both of these young quarterbacks, but we're going to see. And this are two of the better games of the week, in my opinion. Well, they're all good, honestly. Tampa Bay and Lions is probably the least significant, and that's where we're going up next. We got the Bucks visiting the Lions, 6.5 dogs on the road. I think there's even a 7 out there on DraftKings now. I know it's boring, but I don't think I can take the Lions as touchdown favorites. I mean, that game, we were split on the Lions-Rams last week, and I really think the league, the fans, the refs, in some ways, they let them just play last week, and there were some really big hits, and I think some of those calls probably should have been made against the Lions, and maybe it's a different game, different team making it through to this round, the Rams. But Lions are playing physical football right now, but Baker, oddly enough, and that Bucks defense, they don't look like they can just get blown away or blown out. And the Lions, I don't know. I think 6.5 is too much to ask right now. I like the Bucks plus. I mean, I can get a 7. I think that's crazy. Yeah, I like the Bucks plus 7 at a unit and a half.
Here, give me one. I just wanted to look up one stat real quick. Yeah, so on October 15th, Detroit did go into Tampa and win 20-6. Obviously, since then, Baker has came to form a lot more, so I definitely think they'll put up more than 6 points, even on the road, against this Detroit defense. I'm with you. I'm taking the Bucks here too. I don't feel as confident. It's a regular unit play for me. The Bucks, they looked really good against Philadelphia last week, but I think Philly was they were done before they even took the field. And Lions, they knocked the monkey off their back or off the shoulder, whatever the saying is, with winning a playoff game, especially a home playoff game. So they're riding really high, and I do think it is a bad spot for Baker. I think the Lions win the game, but giving me a touchdown to start off is just too much for a divisional playoff game, especially when the Lions defense, got cooked by Matthew Stafford. They should have put up more than 23 points. They had 3 field goals in the red zone. They just stopped them in the red zone. But yeah, Baker's no Matthew Stafford, but he does have some good weapons with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So I see it being interesting going to the fourth quarter, but I just don't. I could see this being a push. I could see Detroit winning a 35-28 game or 28-21 or something to that effect. So I'm just riding with the regular unit on that one.
Do you think they're gonna let the players play? And what I mean by that is, like last week, the players were pretty rough. Definitely more rough than the regular season, which the trend was in the regular season. They're going to protect quarterbacks. They're going to call the dirty hits, like on the legs, on the tight end, when they catch the ball, or they're going to call when you hit them above the, shoulders. But the Lions were absolutely hammering the Rams, like with some
Yeah,
I mean,
they did not protect Matthew Stafford at all.
It reminded me of like old school football, which maybe the Lions weren't the better team that night, but they were just more physical and tough to play. And it's hard to get up off your tail like 10 times in a row after your head smacking the ground and still feeling like you can win the game. I mean, they were just letting them play really rough. And I wonder if it's going to be like that again in the divisional round. Are they going to protect the quarterbacks a little more? Because I wouldn't be surprised if Stafford had a concussion after that hit. I mean, he looked like his eyes rolled back.
The consistency throughout the regular season did not show up, particularly in that Rams-Lions game. There was multiple calls where it was late hits on Stafford that did not get called. And yeah, I seen some on Jordan Love even that I thought was late that didn't get called. But I think you'll see more of the same this week, except on Patrick Mahomes. He'll get the calls. He will. He'll be out of bounds, and then like somebody will touch him, and he'll flop, and it'll be 15 yards. If he's short, and he goes to slide, somebody will just like not even touch him. Like they'll fall beside of him, and they'll say roughing. You know, it'll be something. Mahomes will get a couple calls, and I still don't think it's going to be enough for this next pick.
Yeah, last up on the slate, we got the Chiefs visiting the Bills. The Bills,
game of the week.
They're favorites of 2.5. It's went to 3, down to 2, back to 2.5, back to 3, down to 2.5. You got bettors on every side, every number in this game. Who doesn't love this kind of game to end the divisional round? I mean, I'm conflicted because I think the value in the line is on the Chiefs as underdogs, obviously, but I do feel like the Bills, that was my Super Bowl winner prediction, so I do feel like they win this game. I just feel like the value in the line is on the Chiefs, though. It's tough. It's give your case on your side. Let's hear it.
Yeah, so the 4 outcomes of every game is that one team wins close, the other team could win close, one team could blow the other team out, the other team could blow the other team out. So going into this, that you have 4 outcomes there. Going into this one, you only have 3. There's no way that Kansas City is blowing Buffalo out. They haven't been blown out by a single team all year, had a tough schedule. They had that 5-week gauntlet where they played Dallas, Philadelphia, Kansas City. I don't think they played San Fran or Baltimore, but 2 other tough games I can't remember. But anyways, yeah, they have not been blown out all year. Every game they've played, they've lost close. So I know that's not happening. And I do think it's going to be a close game. Classic Mahomes versus Josh Allen. This is the first time Patrick Mahomes has had to play on the road, so that's kind of a chip he wants to get knocked off his shoulder. He may use that as momentum or fuel to go out on the field and say, "Oh, I can win on the road in the playoffs." But I don't really see it happening here. I think that this is probably the best defense that Mahomes has had, but I've said it all year. I still think they're a little fraudulent. I know that they have a really good lockdown corner. Chris Jones still in the middle, Nick Bolton at linebacker, so they're pretty decent at key positions. But Miami in that weather, you could have put, I don't know, you could have put Cincinnati without Joe Burrow, and I think Miami goes in there and loses that game in that type of weather. Just a team that's used to that weather compared to the Dolphins. They just did not look like they wanted to be. The defense was like ready for the game to be over. Tua cannot throw a ball into a 30-mile-per-hour wind, and yeah. But the Chiefs, they didn't put them away until late in the second half, so they still even made that a little bit of a game. The 26-9 score was a little deceiving. And, of course, Bills play Steelers. It was within 7 going in, late in the second half, and then they scored a touchdown and kind of put the Steelers away. But they lost another key linebacker. But the guy that replaced him, he came in and he ended up, it was halfway through the third quarter, he ended up with the most tackles in the game. So as the Steelers were trying to come back, he was flying all over the field making tackles. He only played a quarter and a half. So maybe Buffalo's just got a pretty deep team this year because they've had a lot of defensive injuries. Yeah, I'm taking Buffalo. I'm swallowing the 2.5. It's a I'm put a double unit on it. This is Josh Allen's time to beat Mahomes in the playoffs. He's 0-2 against him. If you're gonna catch him, you got to catch him now. He's putting those demons to the side, and we're gonna get the overpowering running quarterback and Josh Allen going to the finesse, can't stop on a dime, best running quarterback probably of all time, even though I'm a huge Michael Vick fan. Lamar Jackson, and that's going to be the AFC Championship game. Ravens host the Buffalo Bills.
I do see the Ravens and Bills meeting up for the AFC Championship, but I think I'm going to play the Chiefs number as a hedge because I can see this game. I don't see this being a really high-scoring game. Buffalo's defense is legit.
It's either way game.
Chiefs
I made all those
defense.
points.
It's both of these teams' defenses that are really the surprising factor here. And when it's a game that tight with really good defenses, I would lean dogs. And Chiefs have the history to back it up. They're against the spread in this spot. Really good, and they've been here and done that. So. I just feel like it's the value side. I could see a world where Buffalo wins by like a point or two. So I should have taken the Rams spread just because I knew that was the value number last week, and I'm going to not make that same mistake here. Even if Buffalo wins, which I do think happens, I think it's a close one. I think it's like a nail-biter, like 23-21 or something. Missed extra point, go for two, something like that. Something crazy. And Chiefs cover, Bills win. That's what I think.
But, all right, so... let's say the defense, would you say it's a wash or a little bit of an edge to Kansas City?
I would say
slight. I would say probably the way they've been playing.
Yeah, slight edge to Chiefs for sure, and slight edge to the offense of the Bills. Well, not slight, maybe a little more than slight.
Okay, so that's just defense. Okay, all right. Let's say quarterbacks. I would say it's a wash. I think Josh Allen's playing a little bit better than Mahomes right now.
I think in the playoffs. You gotta say it's a slight lean Patrick. I mean, more proven. Josh Allen in the playoffs. You gotta lean Patrick right there.
But I mean, last week they were in the playoffs, and I think Josh Allen played way better than Mahomes did against the Dolphins. And both games were in weathers. But anyways, tight end. Who has the edge?
Well, if Kelsey,
I would say Bills.
If Kelsey shows up to play, then they normally do. But at this point, I mean, Bills have two weapons. Yeah, two weapons. Yeah. So it's a little more dynamic right now. And
do you believe in Rashid Rice enough to say that they have the edge over that little fast? I can't remember his last name. He took Cole Beasley's spot for the Bills. He's been playing really good. But then also Diggs and Gabe Davis.
Now, the Bills have the better offense for sure. They got a better run game. They got a nice tight end duo. I mean, and they got better receivers. Yeah.
I think Chiefs have the better coach and maybe a slight edge on defense. But like I said, I think it's a little fraudulent. And Bills are at home, and then they have the advantage on offensive line and running back. I mean, Pacheco, the way Cook's been playing, I would say that's maybe a wash. I don't know. I think it's unless Josh Allen goes out there and chokes a close game, which he's done before. I just think it's his time.
I just hope for no blowouts in the divisional round. I mean, I think all these dogs are live. I do see two of these underdogs upsetting this week. I mean, I know that I don't know which two, but I think if you played the money line on three or four of the games, I think you would profit this week. Just because the odds are really, really juicy, and I mean it's playoff football. No one knows what's about to happen. Everyone expects the favorites to win, but that's not what happens all the time.
I say the biggest underdog is the only underdog that upsets. Packers.
I like taking. I would like if you took you take Packers, Texans, and the Chiefs, or you take Packers, Texans, and the Bucks, and you're going to profit. I don't know why. Because you only need to hit one. When the odds are greater than plus 200, if you hit one, you still either break even or make a little bit if it's greater than plus 200. So it's like there's two at plus 300. So if you hit two of those this week, I mean, you feeling good. You're going to make money.
So Justin said, forget about all the spread picks. We just talk. He's riding money line on all these games.
Sometimes money line really does provide, like money line dogs, they do provide some value. Like you take a good price when the risk reward is there. Like I played the Packers money line last week, and I mean that was a good payout. I think sometimes you just gotta pick a spot and or if you play like 2 or 3 that are greater than plus 200, you only need to hit one.
Yep. But I think we took up about an hour time talking about 4 games. So
yeah,
classic. But no, good conversation. I'm very excited. I'm hyped up for Saturday and Sunday. There will be plenty of dips made, appetizers made, little snacks, maybe a little alcohol out there. Who knows? And yeah, I'm excited for the games. Might have a cocktail or 2. Who knows?
Oh yeah, cocktails for sure. Pour them up. Yeah, no blowouts, please. We don't want to blow out in this divisional round. We'll probably get one, but at least keep it to a minimum. Last round was just lame how many blowouts there was, but yeah, thanks
DJ Stroud versus versus Lamar, and then Josh Allen versus Mahomes. I'm so psyched for those 2 games.
Quarterback play is going to be on another level. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Till next time, we'll cover the championship games and make our picks for that. Thanks for tuning in. As always, let's cover the spread. Peace.